This is a topic that's been on my mind for some time now. For me, it was a profound realization, so that's why I wanted to make this video. The first thing to know about your mind is that your mind is not a monolith. Instead, your mind is more like a web. In other words, your mind comes in parts, like a network, with individual modules that connect to each other. Most of your mind is in your head, but having most of your mind in your head doesn't mean that all of it is inside the brain. The mind and the brain are not the same. Instead, a better way of thinking about it is like a modular structure, where you have this main component that is your brain, but you can add to this main component and improve it. For example, if you add a phone to your brain becomes that much more capable. You can research things better, you simply know more things, just because you can Google them. Same goes for your desk, for a pen and paper, even things like the space you're living in. Your house can be an extension of your mind. And in fact, it is an extension of your mind. There are many examples of this type where influencing the external environment can produce actual cognitive effects. I first heard about this idea when I read about the extended mind hypothesis by Andy Clark and David Chalmers. In this paper, the authors argued that there is no qualitative difference between somebody having a computer in their head and somebody having a computer on their desk, for example. Both use this machine to help them with their cognitive processing, and whether or not the computer is inside or outside the head makes no difference. Let's take a look at two cases that illustrate this idea more clearly. So let's say that Inga hears from a friend that there's an exhibition at this museum and she wants to go see it. She thinks and she recalls that the museum is on 53rd Street, so she walks there and goes into the museum. So she believed that the museum is there. Why did she believe it? Because she consulted her memory. Her memory contained this information, and that's what she believed. And now let's take a look at a different case. Otto suffers from Alzheimer's disease, and he cannot recall where the museum is. He carries a notebook. This notebook contains the information that he needs to recall so that he can do certain things. So he also hears about this exhibition, but instead of consulting his memory, he consults the notebook. And in the notebook it says 53rd Street, just the same as Inga's memory would say if it was written down on paper. Are these two cases fundamentally different? The authors of this paper argue that they are not, and I agree. These two cases are fundamentally the same. So the moral is that when it comes to belief, there is nothing sacred about skull and skin. What makes some information count as belief is the role it plays, and there is no reason why the relevant role can be played only from inside the body. This is an important conclusion, because it has all sorts of implications for how you might want to approach your life and how you might want to approach your external circumstances, your external environment. So let's talk about the practical implications of this realization. You have basically two strategies on how you can handle your stuff. Number one, make your mind independent. Try not to depend on the external environment. Just train yourself to not use calendars, reminders, paper, calculators, mobile phones. Just don't use any of that. Just use your mind. I find this conclusion very unpractical and essentially stupid, because you are literally dumbing yourself down, and I don't really think that anybody would consider this a valid proposition. I'm trying to illustrate a point here, that the opposite direction, the second strategy, is the right one, the smart one. I'm proposing that you see the external environment as more important than just an environment. I'm proposing that you should see the world around you as a part of your mind, and approach it as such. What this means in practice is that you should remake the world around you to your liking. Take your room seriously, take your note-taking system seriously, take your pen and paper seriously, take all these things that comprise external packages to your mind, take them seriously, because they are a part of your mind. They're not just some thing. In one of my favorite books, Pact by John C. McCrae, the protagonist discovers that there is a world of magic. And within this world of magic, one of the things that practitioners of magic should do is they should declare their domain. A domain is the place of power. Find your own place to make your own, where the rules bend as you need them to, and where your power is greatest. When I think about this example, I always remember this video from Casey Neistat where he takes us to a tour of his workspace, and it's essentially a domain where he bends the rules of reality in his favor.
All these tools here and the layout of everything here is designed with purpose. So everything that's within a hand's reach, within an arm's reach like this, all this stuff, these are the most frequently used tools, including all these power tools which are always ready to go, always plugged in, always out.
He has this space where he can do the things that he wants to do and where everything around him simply serves its purpose. It's just there for him to take and to use. It's an extension of his mind.
Keep track of it. So every minute that I spend looking for like Velcro tape or my drill gun is a minute I'm not doing something productive. So why not build an infrastructure that supports that rather than encourages the chaos? So the tool area looks the way it looks, not because I think it looks cool, but because that's like the height of functionality. And that level of functionality breeds its own aesthetic.
When you walk into his studio, you're walking into his mind, and that's a very, very interesting and inspiring thing to do. Number 2, optimize the tools that you use. This includes things like learning keyboard shortcuts on your computer so that you can perform things a couple of seconds faster, which makes you more capable to do other things because your output is greater. Number 3, having a good system of taking notes. Currently, there are many methodologies and many tools that are getting really popular. For example, Rome research. What's important here is to have something, to have a system. Note-taking is very, very important. For example, these are the points that I wrote down for this video. I may not include all the things that I wrote down, but I have some sort of reference and I don't need to struggle to remember what it is that I wanted to do. I simply have it written down. Number 4, keep things at hand, which basically means that if you want to do some activity, whatever it may be, make it easy for yourself to do it. And vice versa. If you want to not do something, then make it hard for yourself to do it. There are probably many other ways, but the principles are important here. So just remember the principles and embrace the extended mind.